My name's Jake Reynolds. If you've ever driven through northern Arizona at night, the open stretches between Gallup and Cameron, you know what real isolation feels like. It's not just quiet. The land itself seems to hold its breath. If you pull over, kill the headlights, and just listen, you can almost hear the desert thinking. That's where this happened. That's where I stopped believing in coincidences and started believing in skinwalkers. Back then, I worked nights as a fill-in security guard for a small chain of gas stations and rest stops. 1 week here, a few shifts there. Nothing heroic, just sitting by a monitor, making sure no one siphons fuel or breaks into the vending machines. The station off Highway 64 was different, though. Locals called it Mile 123. Sounded harmless enough, but everyone in town avoided it after sundown. People from the nearby reservation warned each new manager not to keep night staff alone. They said weird things happened there. The kind of weird that doesn't show up on a surveillance tape. I didn't pay it any mind. You hear that kind of talk everywhere. Don't go into the woods. Don't drive the old road. Don't whistle at night. Superstition travels faster than truth. At least that's what I thought. My first shift was on a windy Thursday in late October. The air smelled like dust and gasoline, and the neon sign out front flickered weakly, throwing strange shadows across the parking lot. Inside, the cashier, a Navajo guy named Aaron, was counting down his drawer. Quiet kid, early 20s, polite, but he kept glancing at the dark windows like he expected to see something looking back. "You from around here?" I asked, trying to break the silence. He nodded. "Page originally. Don't usually stay past dusk." "Why not?" He mumbled, "Just superstition. Sometimes coyotes get too close." He said it too quickly. Coyotes don't scare people like that. He handed me the keys, murmured, "Don't answer anyone calling from outside," then practically jogged to his truck and peeled away in a storm of gravel. That was my first red flag. It didn't take long before the stillness started to mess with me. You think desert nights are loud, crickets, wind, maybe the hum of insects near the lights, but out there, the silence had weight. When the wind died down, even my own breathing sounded intrusive. I spent the next few hours sipping bad coffee, scrolling through my phone, trying not to stare too long into the black glass of the window. Around 2 a.m., the back security monitor flickered. A dark shape moved behind the dumpsters. Too big for a coyote. Tall, upright, with long limbs. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, the air instantly colder, almost metallic against my skin. "Hello?" I called. Something answered. "Jake?" The beam of the flashlight trembled in my hand. The voice was soft, distant yet distinct, and it sounded exactly like me. The echo slithered through the dark like smoke. "Jake, what are you doing out here?" Every nerve in my body went rigid. I spun around, the beam slicing across empty asphalt. No footsteps, no movement, just the whispering wind returning like it had been holding its breath. I shut the door and locked it twice. The next morning, Aaron refused to look me in the eyes. "You heard it," he said simply. When I didn't answer, he sighed. "You shouldn't have gone outside." I tried to laugh. "Sound travels weird out here, right? Echoes, canyon walls, wind." He shook his head. "That wasn't an echo, man. Someone called your name." "Yeah, probably kids messing around." Aaron's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Kids don't talk with your voice." I started to push back. Science, logic, acoustics, anything rational. But he interrupted, lowering his voice. "There's things here older than science. Out here, some people learn ways they shouldn't. They take forms they're not meant to. They walk like animals, talk like people." He looked out the window. "We call them Yinadloshi." He hesitated before translating. "Skinwalkers." The word hung in the air like static. I tried to laugh it off, but the memory of that voice, perfect down to the trimmer in it, sat heavy in my chest. The next evening, I brought headphones, figuring music would drown out my nerves. By midnight, I'd almost convinced myself nothing strange had happened. The monitors were calm, the desert still. Then, at 1:37 a.m., one of the audio sensors pinged. A soft thud behind the building. I froze the camera feed. A dark blur flickered near the edge of the screen, not walking, but gliding, like someone moving through water. I turned up the volume. Jake? Felt every syllable crawl across my skin. Come on, Jake. You left your flashlight out here. How would it know that? I had dropped it the night before. I forced myself into the supply closet, clutching a wrench like it could stop a nightmare, and waited. The scraping stopped around 3 a.m., fading into a rustle that blended with the wind. Sunrise didn't feel like safety, just a temporary ceasefire. By the third day, I couldn't hide the shaking in my hands. That afternoon, a tribal ranger stopped by. Older guy named Chavez. Face weathered, eyes calm in a way that made you trust him. "You're the new Nightman?" he asked. "Yeah, trying to be," I said, forcing a smile. He looked around the store. "Power keeps flickering?" "Sometimes. You know anything about—" I hesitated, lowering my voice. "Voices in the dark?" Chavez's expression didn't change. He just said, "Don't answer them." Then he pulled something from his pocket, a small leather pouch tied with red string. "Keep this with you. Mountain tobacco, cedar, a little sage. Won't stop it, but maybe keep it confused." "It?" He met my eyes. The lines in his face deepened. Skinwalkers notice curiosity. They mimic what they want to take. When he left, the air seemed colder, even in daylight. Sleep became impossible. When I did manage to close my eyes, I'd hear faint breathing, sometimes near the door, sometimes right at the glass. Other times, I'd catch my reflection smiling when my face was dead still. One morning, I found footprints in the dust behind the dumpsters. Barefoot, long-toed, nails digging deep into the soil. They circled the building twice, stopping directly beneath the office window. By day 5, my mind frayed. Coffee, adrenaline, paranoia, all blurring together. I started recording myself on my phone, trying to prove I wasn't losing it. At 2:31 a.m., the footage caught something. Me, walking in front of the camera when I was sitting right there watching. The thing stopped and tilted its head unnaturally far and whispered, "You look tired, Jake." When I blinked, the screen went dark.
That was the moment denial died. Desperate, I drove to a small diner 20 miles away to find Chavez. Instead, I met a woman named Leela, Navajo, mid-40s, who ran the place. When she noticed my shaking hands, she didn't bother with small talk. "Something's following you," she said plainly. I nodded. She motioned me to sit. "You heard your own voice, right?" "Yes." She nodded grimly. "That's how they start. The stories say a skinwalker will first steal your sound, then your shadow, then your skin. They use the voice to draw you out. Once you step into their space, you're already halfway gone." I swallowed hard. "How do you stop it?" Leela's gaze drifted to the horizon. "You don't. You break its attention. You undo what called it. Sometimes it's something small, a name spoken wrong, a mirror left uncovered." She scribbled something on a napkin, a Navajo phrase and a set of steps for a cleansing circle. burn cedar and juniper before sundown. Don't run if you hear it again. Fear feeds it. Easier said than done. I returned to the station before sunset, determined to follow her instructions. Gathered sage from the roadside, set everything in a metal coffee can outside the door. The smell was strong, earthy, grounding. For a while it helped, until the lights blinked out. Midnight. No hum from the refrigerators, no buzzing neon, just darkness and the slow creak of expanding metal. Then came the knock. Soft at first. "Jake." The voice came from just beyond the thin metal door. I gripped the pouch Chavez gave me, every muscle stiff. "It's cold out here, Jake. You gonna leave me outside?" It sounded hurt, human, exactly the way I imagined my own voice would sound if I were begging. Then another sound reached my ears, a low growl layered beneath the words. The voice faltered, repeating syllables like it was relearning them. Jake, I meant to say, you left your... Silence. Then a laugh, distorted, wet, wrong. The door rattled violently. Through the narrow window, I caught a glimpse. Tall, skeletal, skin stretched tight across a face that was mine and not mine at once. Eyes glinting like mirrors, the mouth still moving after the words stopped. I stumbled back, chanting the words from Leela's napkin. My voice shook. Halfway through, I nearly bit my tongue when the thing echoed me, syllable by syllable. Shi-na-na. Shi-na-na. It wasn't mocking. It was learning, copying. The temperature dropped so fast my breath turned white. Then, silence again. A perfect silence. I waited there till dawn, crouched behind the counter, whispering prayers I didn't even believe in. When the morning attendant arrived, the station looked untouched. No scratches on the doors, no footprints, no signs of forced entry. But the security DVR was gone, cable ripped clean from the wall. Head office brushed it off as vandalism. No one believed my story. Who would? To them, I was just another night guard cracking under isolation. They reassigned me to a busier station near Flagstaff. I didn't argue. I thought maybe it was done with me. For 2 months, I slept fine. Then one morning, checking my voicemail, I heard a message I didn't leave. Flat tone. Then my own voice. "Hey, Jake, you left your flashlight here." Static, then silence. I stared at my phone, pulse racing. The number was my work cell at mile 123, the one I'd turned in months ago. Out of morbid curiosity, I drove back. The building was shuttered now, windows boarded, a for sale sign half buried in sand. The sign kept creaking in the wind. But in the dust by the front steps, I saw something glinting. My old flashlight. Battery dead, casing cracked, but unmistakable. When I bent to pick it up, I noticed footprints leading away from the door. Human-shaped, but uneven, like whoever made them had more joints than they should have. I didn't follow them. I drove till dawn, hands shaking the whole way. Sleep stopped being rest. In dreams, I saw the desert stretching forever, the mesas bending inward, forming a circle. In the middle stood a figure wearing my skin like a loose jacket. Voice flickering through every tone I had ever used. Laughter, crying, anger, whispers. "Let's trade," it said, smiling with too many teeth. "You've used this body long enough."
I woke, drenched in sweat, fingernails packed with dirt as though I'd been clawing something. 2 weeks later, my coworker Jen showed me security cam stills from our Flagstaff station. "Check this out," she said. "We caught a trespasser last night." I looked, and my stomach dropped. It was me. Or close enough. Same jacket, same hair, but the limbs wrong again. They were bent like a spider's, stepping toward the camera at an impossible angle. The timestamp read 2:11 a.m., the exact time that footage had glitched months before at mile 123. I told her to delete it right then and there. But you can't delete what's already memorized your voice. I left the job after that, moved 4 states away. Spent my savings renting a cabin near a lake in Idaho. No deserts, no echoes, just rain and trees. For a while it worked. Until last week. I was unpacking boxes when I heard someone knocking at the dock outside. 3 steady beats. Then, "Hey, man," a familiar voice called out. "You left your flashlight out here." At first, I laughed. Coincidence, I told myself. A hallucination born of stress. Then came the second sentence. "You can stop pretending, Jake. I found you." The way it said, Jake, drawn out, choked, like the word didn't fit right in its throat, took me straight back to that lonely stretch of desert. I dropped everything and ran. But wherever I went, it found me. Every phone call that cracks into static, every reflection that lingers a second too long, every whisper outside the window, it's all the same voice. And when I record myself speaking now, the playback wavers. There's always an echo, half a beat behind me, repeating what I say, quieter but catching up. If you're hearing this, maybe it'll find you too. Maybe that's how it spreads. By voice, by name, just enough recognition to draw your attention. I don't know if it's the same one or if they multiply, but I know this. They wear the voices first, the faces second. So if you're traveling across the high desert, if you stop for gas near an abandoned station with boarded windows and you hear someone calling your name from the dark, even if it sounds exactly like you, don't answer. Because once you do, you've already started talking to a Skinwalker. And they never forget a voice.